Tell me, what is better than going to a place where you learned and had fun? How about coming back? We had a great time with young reporter Shakeem Holloway. This time, we're kicking it up a notch with experienced reporter Gabriel Stovall. It is time to continue learning about the life of a sports journalist. While he is a fairly new face at Covington News, Stovall does have a wealth of experience in the realm of journalism.
I started writing for the newspaper at my high school because they told me it was a journalism class as an easy A. I was like, all right, cool. And I like to write. So I fell in love with it. And I said, hey, can I major in this in college? And they were like, yeah, journalism, go for it. Enrolled at the University of Nebraska at Lincoln, which had at the time one of the top, I think probably one of the top 10 journalism, mass communications, college journalism, mass communications in the nation. Definitely one of the top in the Midwest. It didn't hurt that at that time Nebraska football was winning national championships, so it gave me the excitement of thinking I'd be able to cover some of that. And so I started as a college major there, wrote, got to the University of Nebraska, started writing for the Daily Nebraskan, which was the campus paper. All these dreams of thinking I was going to write football. And, the first story they sent me on was bowling. I was like, oh my goodness. I covered bowling, I covered soccer, I paid my dues and some stuff, finally got to do some football. But when I really started thinking, hey man, I can really do this, I was a sophomore at the University of Nebraska, and I wrote a column about this guy named Correll Buckhalter, who broke a record for rushing at Nebraska. He went on to play for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I wrote a column, and it won Sports Column of the Year for all the campus papers in all the Big 12 conference schools. And so I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. I can do this. I interned at the Omaha World Herald, and then from there, man, I just kind of I did a lot of writing for different like freelancing type stuff. When I moved to Georgia 11 years ago, came back to it in earnest when I went and started writing for the Clayton News Daily. The Henry Daily Herald, started as a freelancer, and then went on and stayed there, hired on full time for about 6 years, and had a good run, won some awards, and started their first college football beat and just some different things like that, man. So did that for about 6 years. I started my own publication called the Southern Crescent Buzz, which covered football and high school and collegiate sports in the Southern Crescent area, Henry County, Fayette County, Spalding County, and Clayton County, and did also Georgia Tech football coverage and stuff like that. And then opportunity opened up here, and I jumped on it.
How has he done? He has done exceptionally well, actually. He brought with him a lot of experience, and then with that brought fresh new ideas to what we were already doing. So it's a nice balance. He's done very, very well here. He has built readership in print. He's built video viewership. He's built social media following, and really done a lot to create a sports world following here locally.
Stovall is one of quite a few new faces at Covington News. However, one person does remain from the Holloway era, webmaster Brian Wharton. How does Gabriel Stovall compare to Shakeem?
Gabriel is a lot more community oriented. I think when Shakeem was here, he liked to focus a lot on certain sports because that's what he was comfortable with. I think Gabriel's strongest asset is he knows how to find a good story with a sport that he may not be too familiar with. He's really good at finding feature stories.
What convinced you to hire Gabriel Stovall?
That's a great question. I actually phone interviewed him. Let's see. I was traveling, so I had to phone interview. I was traveling, and I was phone interviewing for the sports editor position. And when I talked to him, I felt an immediate understanding for what his passion was. I just knew immediately that was what needed to happen here. We have great sports here in the community. We have a great community, and he was able to bring sports and community together in a way that that just excited me, excited our staff, excited our readers, and I knew that it was going to be the case immediately. He does so much more than just report on a game or stats or the score. He actually delves into why it's interesting to watch, why we should care about sports. You know, if you watch sports, most of the time it's not the actual game, it's the players, it's the interaction, it's the competition that's happening, and he captures that in a really creative way.
Stovall not only does well at his job, but is also creating connections in the surrounding community.
The projects I have planned, I have planned the opportunity, like I said, to work with you guys with SBI. Also to try to work with others in the Newton-Rockdale area in a similar way. I think there's a Newton Career Academy and some other places trying to partner with schools that have media departments or newspapers and school newspapers to find talent to inculcate into our process, man. And like I said, though, also I am looking at increasing this newspaper's digital footprint. Like I said, we are a paper that prints hard copy editions every Sunday, so just once a week. But we are fashioning ourselves to where we look at ourselves as a 7-day-a-week news organization by way of our online digital product. So we're getting ready to actually launch a new website. We're getting our website upgraded in the next couple of weeks. And with that, it's going to give us more flexibility. I don't even know if I should say it right now, but I'm hoping, I'm seeing how close the Newton and the Rockdale communities are in terms of sports. I see everybody kind of knows each other. They played around each other, whatnot. So I'm looking at experimenting with the idea of maybe finding a way to pull a publication together that kind of mixes the two counties together and covers sports in a much broader aspect.
It is nice to know that there's an experienced journalist who is willing to help the next generation.
The first thing I will say, and it's going to sound kind of bad, but let me explain it. The first thing I'll say for advice is temper your expectations initially. And what I mean by that is don't not have the big dreams. Just know that you're going to have to pay your dues a little bit. Do a whole lot of reading and viewing journalistic material from a professional standpoint. If you're reading articles, looking at how other people do their graphic arts and their designs, just taking as much of it in as possible. Just got through telling one of my interns, the more you read, the better of a writer you'll become. The more you expose yourself to people who do graphics or people who are the top of their game in broadcasting, and you look at it not just from a fan's eye, but from a critical eye. The more you do that, the better it'll become for you. I've got press credentials to cover the Georgia Bulldogs. I got press credentials to cover the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets football. Got press credentials to cover the Atlanta Falcons in the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium right here in this little small paper. So you don't always have to go to the big papers in order to get the big assignments and in order to have those big experiences. So I would tell young journalists, don't be too picky early on about where you go to work. Just go somewhere where you can hone your skills, and I promise you, all those other things that you want, it'll find a way of finding you.